Hey guys, it's Tim Parker and Rick Rickhart from Imagine Tours and Travel. We're going live. We've spent last week in Israel, and we just wanted to spend some time going over what we seen, what we witnessed, what we heard from the people in Israel. We are going to take just a couple of seconds to kind of hang tight here and see if we get anyone that lands with us right now. Right now, we're not seeing anyone on the website watching or on YouTube. We're streaming both YouTube and Facebook. So looking forward to hearing some of those questions if you haven't, and hopefully you looking forward to hearing what we have to say. So we'll hang tight just a couple minutes here and see what we got.
Perfect.
But
it was an amazing trip.
Yeah, it was a great trip. We left on a Monday. We returned on a Friday, so it was a really quick trip. But got to see so many different things, visit with so many different friends, see some of the hotels, witness some groups that were over there traveling. So that was really awesome.
We did. We met with our office partners. We met with hoteliers. We had a chance to meet with some guides. We had a chance to meet with shop owners, combination of different things like that. It was quite amazing just to get a different perspective of what their thoughts were, and what the impact of October 7th has been, and what the future kind of looks like, just as an idea, and just the atmosphere as a whole. It was actually quite positive, better than I'd anticipated. We went pretty hard rolling, I would say, for 3 full days. Yeah. We were nonstop, but it was great to visit some of the biblical sites and even have a chance to talk with some of the people that were there as well. And as Tim mentioned, seeing some groups, which was really encouraging as well.
Yeah, we've got one viewer going on right now, so that's awesome. One more than we had, right?
That's right. I'll take it.
So we flew, like I said, we flew over on Monday out of Miami on El Al. The flight was great. We arrived early on Tuesday morning.
7 a.m.
Yeah, 0700, and we're picked up at the airport and whisked off to a great breakfast of Israeli breakfast. We had shakshuka.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was that's one of our favorites. That's
one of my favorites for sure. It's hard not to enjoy the Mediterranean cuisine.
Yeah.
In Israel, so many different varieties, and I think that's probably one of the questions that we get asked all the time is, what should we anticipate food-wise and quality? I mean, the quality in the cuisine. Israel is probably one of the best at their food and culinary, to say the least. It's really a Mediterranean style, very healthy, olive oil, hummus, things like that, tzatziki, and you name it. It's incredible. They're known for their salads. If you're looking for something that's healthy, they have it. If you don't want something healthy, you can surely find it. But it's amazing just the quality of their food.
Yeah, we should have lost 20 pounds before we went, right?
We should have. Of course, after I don't think we missed a meal, so we were good.
And multiple meals. So yes. So we arrived. We were able to visit with some of our partners over in Israel. Had great conversations with them. Things to look forward to, kind of what they were hoping for. Seeing the return of tourism. So I don't know if you want to kind of speak to that.
Well, sure. I do my best. I can tell you why we were there. In meeting with some of the different office partners, they had shared. I mean, there was just a group of pastors that had just been there. 28 of them from the New York area on a fam trip. Actually, this week alone. One of the offices there has one group. It's 231 passengers. It's a Catholic group from Europe. They continued with their plans as well. While we were there, even in Bethlehem, at the Shepherd's Field, we bumped into a group that was from the Philippines. We saw groups that were from Argentina. Had some people from Canada. Actually saw people from the U.S. that were there as well. So there was quite a bit. I think the first aspect is people having to realize that in parallel to what's happening in Gaza, um, whatever the new normalcy looks like, Israel is still thriving. That's not to take light of the situation in Gaza and the people that are suffering by all means. But the rest of the country is still going about business as the best as they can. And I think people, they don't say that in the media.
Yeah, I mean, schools are back in session. People are out of the movies.
Restaurants were full.
Yeah, we had to wait on tables at restaurants. So
yeah, hustling and bustling. I mean, you see people walking around. We went to the markets and they were busy. Excuse me.
Yeah. While we're chatting, if you guys have a question that you want to ask us about our trip, then you can certainly send that through the chat. That'll come into to the office here, and we'll try to answer any questions that we see come through. So yeah, safety concerns, 0 for me.
I also didn't experience or feel anything.
Yeah.
Excuse me. What I would say is it felt very normal. I never once felt unsafe or in harm's way. To the contrary, I probably felt one of the safest trips I've been there. I've been to Israel over 100 times and didn't see that this was any different than any other trip. Again, this is not to make light of the situation that's happening and the people that are affected. There is tremendous things that are still going on and people are displaced and things like that. So we don't want to take away from that. That's real, as well as the people in Gaza. And, continue to pray for the people in Gaza and for the innocent people that are caught in between the two of Hamas and the IDF and so forth. That's our first really hope and prayers for the people. I think our purpose was not only to go and see it and to be able to tell you firsthand what we experienced, but and to make sure that, of course, it's safe. And we would never send somebody if we didn't feel that it was safe. But the real thing was to give hope and to show solidarity with both the Israelis, the Palestinians, our Christian brothers and sisters that are there as well. All of them are impacted. Bethlehem, tremendously so. This is a place that thrives on tourism. And when there's no tourism, they have nothing. So,
yeah, right now the people in Bethlehem, especially the Palestinian Christian people, thrive off of tourism. So 0 tourism that's happening right now, or I should say 0 tourism, but not enough to support families going on right now. But they're not able to be hired, or they're not being hired by Muslims in Bethlehem.
correct.
And then they're not able to leave Bethlehem to go work.
Right.
So right now,
All the permits have been pulled right now with the present government, the Israeli government in doing so. And that really hurts the people there too. Not only the Christians, but also the Muslims. For the people that want to work and go to Jerusalem and have an everyday job, they're being confined to having to stay in Bethlehem or Bet Se'u or the surrounding areas as well. And they're limited. So imagine having families wanting to work and not being able to. So this is a big deal.
yeah. So the information that we got back, or the conversation that we had with anybody over there, really was that the return of tourism, the return of friends that have been there multiple times, groups coming back, was something that was going to be integral into the healing process of Israel, for things to return back to some semblance of normalcy, for people to be able to exist, to live, to thrive. All of those things were only probably going to happen with the return of tourism.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that Tim mentioned was for there to begin some kind of for tourism to return. It's amazing how much the country as a whole is dependent upon tourism from as simple as when you land at the airports and all the people that are employed, to the flights, to flight attendants, to baggage, to you name it, greeters, to the local economy there, the taxis and the shuttles and the buses and the bus companies and the drivers, to the guides. Then it goes down to the restaurants and the shops and the hoteliers, and then all the entrance fees and all the places that you visit. And it's just tremendous, and the upkeep for that. Hundreds of thousands of jobs are provided because of the tourism, and nobody wants for this to continue much longer. And as we saw, technically, as groups were already there, you can travel if you choose to. It's probably, in our opinion, the safest time. Mm-hmm. This is actually when things are even in place to deter and make sure that you can continue to travel without having to worry about anything. We used to always say when it gets too quiet for a long time period, that's when we start to get concerned, because you think that something is happening. And in this case, now's the best time. For those that don't want to deal with crowds, this is an ideal time. It's kind of like right after COVID, when everybody started to return and so forth. There was no crowds. It was easy. The same holds true now. So it's a great time to travel. And the weather was beautiful too.
Yeah, it was gorgeous weather. I think we had some rain in Tel Aviv, but in Jerusalem, it was clear. It was comfortable. You wake up in the mornings, it was cool. But throughout the day, it would warm up. In fact, there were several times we had to take our jackets off. We spent a lot of time walking around the city, actually visiting some new sites that our guide helped us to visit. I think spending time in Bethlehem was both, like you said, the crowds were way down. We saw the one Filipino group in the chapel in Bethlehem, and they were singing.
It was awesome.
If you've been there before, then you know the acoustics there in the chapel in the Shepherd's Fields are amazing. So as we were walking up to and shooting some video, and we'll actually be putting some of that video together to share with you guys. But as we were walking up, they were singing, and the sounds coming out of the chapel were amazing.
They were.
So looking forward to hear some American groups over there soon.
It's time.
Yeah. So we are hoping to get some groups back over there. Looks like we maybe have a comment there. And this is from Bonnie. Great of you actually to go and to provide objective, compassionate information. Never having been there. Yeah, it's hard to imagine. So yes, Bonnie, I agree. It's hard to imagine that, but I think any group, in fact, set aside what happened October 7th, but any group of people that go over there, they often go with this slight trepidation or some concern of traveling. And I've never heard one group come back that has said,
not one,
that has said anything other than I felt completely safe. I never felt uncomfortable about any place that I was. So yes, it was amazing to still see that even in the midst of what's going on.
And I'm usually asked at the same time too, and we often hear of, prior to October 7th, is it safe to travel to Israel? What should we anticipate and so forth? I love it when we have folks that tell us, my hairdresser or somebody, who I know told me not to go, and it's not safe, and how dare you, and so forth. And I love the fact that their friends care about them, and that's great. But I always ask them, so when was the last time that they were in Israel? I've never yet met anybody who's been to Israel who has told somebody not to travel to Israel. It's literally one of the safest places on earth. And I know that's very hard to believe, based on some of the recent events. But as a whole, as a country, it truly is one of the safest places to travel to. Even you can walk in the evenings and go about your business and not even have to look over your shoulder. And so, I've sent, my kids have traveled there multiple times, my in-laws, family members. Like I said, I've been too many times to even count, and we would never, ever, put anybody in harm's way. As well as, the U.S. State Department wouldn't allow you to travel if they didn't think it was safe. The Israel government wouldn't allow you to do so. We do everything as well as they do as precautions to ensure your safety. And that's the fact that people just don't understand we use private motor coaches. We don't use, local buses or anything. We have our own private ones that we use. And that's, again, for security reasons. The guides and the drivers, they actually all are part of another circuit of information that they're privy to, and they get text messages constantly, guiding them and giving them information as to where to go and where not to go, literally up until the minute. So again, security is everything. And I think people don't realize that we take that very serious as well.
Yeah. So thanks, Bonnie, for that.
Yes.
But the just in the sites that we've seen going into typically the church and nativity, you were already talking about it, the level of the crowd is way down right now. So what better time than to be over there? You and I actually got to spend 15 minutes in the grotto.
We did, which never happens.
Yeah. So you are kind of shuffled through there as quick as possible because the lines are out the door, and we not only walked through the door and straight to the grotto and were able to go down, but we were able to spend a lot of time down there. Yeah. And then we actually got to have a conversation with one of the priests that were there.
Yep, which was incredible. And, really he was able to emphasize just, loving one another and providing peace. And, it's just incredible. I think that people forget that, this is where Jesus was born, our Savior. We say it so often, but I don't know that people actually take the time to actually think about what that means and to actually be there. And for, it doesn't matter how many times I've been to the church and nativity. It's not about the church. I mean, the church is just a building, and it's just a place to protect the sites so they're not desecrated. I think so often people forget that. We don't go to worship the place. We worship the King. We understand who God is, and that's the part that I think that people forget. We go there as a reminder. It's our way of showing appreciation and worship and praise, and I think that's a lot to do with it, and just a time for reflection.
Sure.
So, and even when we were at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, we had the same experience and had a chance to go there as well. And I think it's I think they actually call it the Angel Church, and you go there as well, and it's it's a sepulcher that's there. It's a time of reflection and remembering what Christ did on the cross for us. And for those that choose and want to go to the garden tomb, the same holds true. There's two locations, and both are incredible, and you have to experience both just to decide what's best for you. But the beauty is he's not there, he's risen. Mm-hmm. And again, we take it so lightly, I think, because we say it and people are just like, oh, it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. And to see the scriptures come to life, it's incredible.
Yeah. It was, as Rick said, we were able to spend time at Church of the Holy Sepulchre, also at the Garden Tomb. Church of the Holy Sepulchre under renovations, but we were able to go to the side that contains the tomb site. Yeah. Covered by the chapel that they have there built over it, and then again to the Garden Tomb where we actually were by ourselves again in the garden, able to just spend some time in reflection. And as Rick said, doesn't matter where it happened, just the fact that it happened, just the fact that God decided to step down from his place in heaven as Christ, that he would live a sinless life for us to be able to live that sinless life, so that he would be the sacrifice that would take away the sins of the world, to live that life that only he could live. And then, of course, to die the death on the cross and be buried for 3 days and then rise again and then ascend back to heaven, gives us the hope that we have in Christ. So anything that you want to share as far as what you would kind of challenge or hopefully instill in people?
I would tell you just to pray about it. I mean, really sincerely pray about it, and to go, to plan your trip and to do it. Often over the years, we always say, next year in Israel, next year in the Holy Land. But honestly, it's this year in the Holy Land. It's this year in Israel. The one thing that I love about going to Israel, first and foremost, is for me, I'm a visual, and to be able to see the land and understand the topography and just the connecting the dots between the places and being able to see it and understand it and puts places in proximity, just really brings the scriptures to life. There's no other way. And so you'll start to read something, and then you see it, and then you read something and you see it, and you look at it and you say to yourself, this is just incredible. Literally, you're at the Garden of Gethsemane. It's not just where Jesus wept, but there's so many events that took place there. But what you don't necessarily always see is if you had just gone a little bit further up behind the Garden of Gethsemane, just a little bit over the hill, it might have been 300, 400, maybe even 500 yards. You would actually be in the wilderness, which is incredible. And Jesus could have easily taken off and left, but he chose to stay there. And he did that for us. And so when you see things and you understand them, it really puts things in perspective. You stand on the Mount of Olives and you look around and you see the different locations and you see, oh, there's the Temple Mount. Oh, there's, St. Peter Gallicantu. Oh, there's the area from where the Dung Gate was, where they would have gone up to when they went to the Western Wall, or the City of David. And it really puts places, you can start to see where things are, and you'll never read the scripture again in the same way. And I think that's why we're so passionate and excited about why we want everybody to go and to do it. And honestly, to do it now, when it actually is the safest and the best time to go.
So, well, that was what we wanted to kind of get out, was what we had experienced, the things that were impactful to us, which were the people who were excited about the return of groups coming back. Of course, everyone appreciated the prayers that have been sent to them, ultimately finding out of the prayers, but they are excited and really desperate to have people return.
Absolutely.
For not only for the business side of it, but just for the healing, the relationships that they have with people, and that I think is something that we should feel intentional about trying to have happen, as well as getting back over, spending time with people that we've spent time with before, seeing the sights, spending time in the Word. Of course, that's one of the most important things that we can do.
Yep.
We have a friend who says, I've been reading this beautiful black and white book for 40 years. And whenever I went to Israel, everything became in living color. It was just how impactful that is to be able to read scripture whenever you're standing in the Garden of Gethsemane and relate that to where you're at. So again, we look forward to you guys traveling soon. We want you to give us a call or shoot us an email if you have any questions, or see if we can help, see how we can help make that trip happen.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thanks.
We appreciate it.